There's a huge debate going on right now with the superstructures that have been discovered underneath the Khafre pyramid. According to two scientists, Filippo Biondi and Corrado Malanga, they claim that the Khafre period, when they used radar from satellite to detect vibrations of light and sound, they found that there's a superstructure extending about 2 kilometers down below the pyramid, and this is like the what's called the SAR, the tomography that penetrated the ground. So you can see that there's something underneath the pyramid that's going right down. So they found superstructures inside the pyramid alone, not 5 structures, but also extending way down for 650 kilometers. These giant cylinders were going right down. So this is the amazing thing. Has there been an advanced civilization? Why did Tesla talk about the pyramids were connected to the ether that powered all the world at the time? But this is a story, a debate, how science must merge with metaphysics. It's about the golden ratio and pi mathematics all embedded in this monument of stone. Welcome everybody. Today I have an amazing story about the recent discoveries that scientists have just found underneath the Khafre pyramid. This is it here, and I'd like to share with you my insights and some of the mathematical magnificence of the pyramid, of the 3 pyramids in Egypt. But we want to focus on what scientists around the world are talking about with the Khafre pyramid. So it's the only one known. You can see here that it's got a casing. It's missing its apex, but it still has the casing stones around it. And it was attributed to the Khafre pharaoh called Khafre around the 4th dynasty. We call it 2550 BC, and it's a really special one. Not many people are talking about it because everyone's talking about the Great Pyramid in Egypt, but pretty much every stone that you see in these pyramids weigh about 2.5 tons, but there's others that are up to 80 tons. But the main thing about Khafre is that it retains the casing stones at the top. But when we look at the other ones here, we see that the Great Pyramid doesn't have the casing stones, but this Khafre does. So this was for the pharaoh Khufu, this was for the pharaoh Khafre, and this was for the pharaoh Menkaure. So these are the 3 pyramids, and you can see how much there's the development is happening all around the pyramid site. I mean, 20-30 years ago these roads weren't there. But what I like about Khafre pyramid here is that inside the structure of it, it's the 3-4-5 triangle. It's the Pythagoras' theorem. So the angle is 53 degrees and 8 minutes, whereas the one in Egypt, the Great Pyramid, is 51 degrees, 51 minutes. So it's got a kind of a steeper slope. So what's happening is that the discoveries that they've made that I'm coming up to are quite astounding, but there's a lot of controversy as to, you know, is it all woohoo? Is it like people just with conspiracy theories? This diagram by Daniel Martin Diaz, you can see that there's the pyramid energy is connecting to the stars, to beings, to ancient civilizations. So, I mean, I just wanted to show that, basically to show that it's missing the pyramidion. They used to call it the Ben. But when the light went through that apex, it refracted and made the alphabets, like the languages of the world, like A, B, C, D. Yeah, so what's happening is that we believe that the apex of both pyramids, of the Great Pyramid and Khafre, the apexes are missing, and we believe that this one was in a pure gold casing. It'll only be about 1.5 meter square base, so they're all missing. That's where all the energy would have been. But just wanted to show you that when you look at this, you see that this is a golden rectangle, that's a golden rectangle. One is by 1.618, so you can see that the 3 apexes, what we call apices, are connected by the golden rectangle, which is pretty much like the shape of your hand. That rectangle here where you put your Visa card, 1 by 1.618. So it's a natural mathematical code, but we believe that the pyramids embed everything. So this is the this is not the Khafre pyramid. This is the one in Egypt. We call it the Great Pyramid, but so we know that the Queen's Chamber is down the middle line. There's the Queen's Chamber, but at a third of the vertical height, that's the center of a pyramid, we've got this kind of jed, these cavities. Each stone can weigh up to like from 20 to 80 tons, and there's a sloping roof and cavities, but that's called the jed, and it was a power source. So that's at the heart of the King's Chamber, and it wasn't really a burial chamber, but I wanted to show you the jed because this is a close-up view of that structure over the King's Chamber. And what's really interesting about it is that each stone weighs about 25 to 80 tons. So that shape was also used on the scepters and tools that the pharaohs used to conduct spiritual energy. So it's kind of like a wand shape. So the jed was a power source. Now we're getting to the discovery. So we've got some scientists. They were using what's called SAR, SAR scans, which is another word for synthetic aperture radar Doppler tomography, and it reveals details of the internal structure of the pyramid, or whatever the size of the pyramid. So if we're looking at the pyramid, so that's one pyramid, underneath it, that whatever the height is there, it goes 10 times that height down underneath the earth. And that's what the controversy is that when they do these SAR scans, they're using satellite technology, so that they penetrate in the earth about 1, 2, or 3 meters on the top of the ground level. But because of the light and the sound that can be detected through the satellite, they're saying that the technology is not going right down 2 kilometers. It's actually picking up all the vibrations. So that's what we're kind of seeing here. So we're seeing here the SAR scan. So you can see here, there's the pyramid there. So if that's the pyramid, 10 times that height, it's going down about 2 kilometers, and there's more evidence of it. That's what the debate is about. So inside the pyramid, they found, remember I was showing you the jed, that's what's in, remember what I was showing you, what's inside the King's Chamber? So over here, remember I was showing you this diagram? Well, here it is. They found 5 of them. So in the King's Chamber, we've got one of these above the King's Chamber in the Great Pyramid of Giza, but in Khafre Pyramid, we've got 5 of these superstructures. So not only that, what we're interested in is what is below this superstructure. So what we see below is 8 cylinders. So there's the jets that are up top, but this doesn't just go this far, this goes way down. So imagine to my feet to here, these cylinders are going way down. And because we've got other dimensions, they know that the diameter of each one of these is about 25 meters across, but there's 8 of them in a geometry, and it's what they're standing on as well. I mean, they're able to detect that these are hollow and that they got these kind of spiral staircases. So there's definitely clearly some high level of engineering going on. So these columns that I'm showing you that go right up, so these go 10 times that height, they're standing on 2 cubes. And because they've got the measurement of these double cubes, each side is about 80 meters. So that's how they were able to calculate that the diameter was 25. So this is like the controversy, that it's kind of saying that this can't be possible. There's no such thing as an advanced civilization. And I was just watching an interview by Piers Morgan, and he was interviewing 5 scientists, and he asked them all these questions, but he asked them another question saying, do you believe that there are people from other planets or UFOs, other crafts? And they all said no. So all the scientists that are saying no, don't even believe that there exists an advanced civilization. So let's explain this. So if we have, this is the Great Pyramid of Giza here, and you can see that there's some air shafts, and they go into Sirius, they go into Orion, they go into Draco and Thuban. So the mathematics that would be required to get these air shafts to point directly to the constellation is clearly evidence of an advanced civilization. This is definitely not man-made. But my personal opinion is that we do need to investigate the SAR scans, and why not, everyone's saying, why not just drill down and just see what's there? but obviously the antiquities won't allow that. But is something being hidden from us? Because basically the sacred geometry, this advanced coding, is going to reveal the truth. But we have to give technology an important plug, because technology is verifying that there is a superstructure underneath the pyramid. So we need to, I'm just going to close on this section here, but here we have the Dogon tribes. These are the tribes in central Mali. And how did they know? They knew that Sirius A, that Sirius B went around Sirius A every 50 years. The Dogon Mali people had ceremonies every 50 years. And when they translated this tribe from the jungles of Africa, they knew about Sirius, and that the gods were called Nomo, and it was all based on creatures that were half human, half aquatic. So there's this advanced stories about the Dogon, and they claimed that they had knowledge. Now, we only know that that's true about Sirius B taking 50 years to go around the other one. It's a binary star. So we have to give thanks to technology and telescopes that are telling us. So we're either in a collective amnesia, or is it a cosmic Watergate? But we need to know the truth about ancient civilizations, and that UFO technology does exist. So moving on from the ancient civilizations of the Dogon, we have to ask questions like, how come there's all these Nazca lines in Peru? If you've read all the books of Eric von Daniken, or all this kind of research challenges the theory of Charles Darwin. And we read all the work of Plato and Pythagoras, how they traveled to the pyramids, and they were given all this mathematics. Because what's happening today is that all the scientists are talking about, they're saying now that there's giant water table aquifers under the pyramid, but all the previous science papers never acknowledged that. So what's happening is that the scientists are only now admitting, there is a giant aquifer, but they never revealed that information. So we have to be a bit skeptical about what scientists tell us. So we need to do more studies, because a lot of it's been wrongly reported. There is a massive superstructure now under the pyramid. It's not just under the pyramid, under the 3 pyramids. It would be all in the complexes in Malta, in England, all around the world, Peru. There will be massive structures as well. We welcome the debate. We welcome the technology. We've got the technology and it's getting better. So let's use this technology to put an end to the debate that, like for me as a researcher, for a scientist to think that there's not any other life in this universe or solar system is very primitive. I mean, I can't even comprehend how someone thinks that we are the only living organisms. We're just a speck in trillions of star systems in this universe. The technology is growing so that we can correct everything. I agree that the scans of the SAR need to be researched because they're kind of noisy images. I was just looking at a Muslim site. Some Arabic scholars were saying that when they referred to pyramids in the Quran, so we're going back 1400 years ago, the name for the pyramids was called the Otad, the Watad Dal, and it meant these tent pegs. So remember when I showed you these big columns? These were in the Quran, the giant tent pegs that the pyramid of Khafre is standing on was referred to in the Quran by, let's see, we've got Abdullah Yusuf Ali. They were referring to this pharaoh as the Lord of Stakes. So all this connection to the pyramids, the pharaohs were known as the Lord of Stakes. Another Quran expert said, according that Firon is the Lord of the Spikes, and Firon, that's the word for pharaoh, was the owner of the stakes. So I found it really interesting that all this reference to these, that 1400 years ago, the reference to the pyramids was about some superstructure on tent pegs. Even the Egyptian word for pyramid is called the Mer. So a lot of people are talking about the Merkaba, which is a kind of spiritual light vehicle that can go from A to B in any solar system. So this was the Merkaba, and Mer was the name for the pyramid. It literally means the light in the middle.